If you had to guess, faster than a car?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. No traffic either, huh?
Yeah, way no traffic.
Hawaii is one of the most scenic places. A mix of mountains, beaches, and lush green valleys welcomes millions of visitors every year. To keep those tourists moving more smoothly, among high-density crowds and trim travel times, state leaders now plan to extend Honolulu's Skyline rail line. Again, the original goal of this expansion is to enhance transportation in Hawaii, but with such a high price tag, the question remains whether the expansion will be worth the money being spent. Let's find out in today's episode of Great Trainspeed.
Delivering the first metro driverless project in the US.
Hawaii has long been a popular destination for tourists worldwide, especially during the summer months and major holidays. The number of visitors has steadily risen, with over 9.6 million tourists arriving in 2024 alone, according to state government data, contributing more than $16 billion to the local economy. However, this influx of visitors has created significant challenges for transportation in the region. To address the growing issue of traffic congestion, the Honolulu Authority for Rapid Transportation, HART, partnered with Hitachi Rail to launch the Honolulu Skyline rail line. With a project cost of approximately $10 billion, this initiative aims to alleviate congestion along the urban corridor and provide a vital connection between East Kapolei and downtown Honolulu, marking it as the largest public works project in Hawaii's history. The Skyline project was initially estimated at $4 billion in 2006, but has since evolved into a more extensive undertaking, now divided into 3 phases. Phase 1, spanning 11 miles from East Kapolei to Aloha Stadium. This segment serves areas outside of urban Honolulu and includes 9 stations. It launched to significant public interest, with over 71,000 riders during its fare-free period. Phase 2. The second phase of the route to be completed will be the 5.1 miles. Set to open on October 1st, 2025, this phase will extend the rail line to Pearl Harbor, the airport, and Middle Street, further enhancing connectivity to key transportation hubs. Phase 3. Planned for completion in 2031, this final phase will extend the line to 3.3 miles across urban Honolulu to downtown, completing the 18.9-mile corridor with 19 stations. This phase is estimated to cost up to $1.4 billion to complete. As of June 30th, 2023, the first segment of the project, covering 10 miles of guideway, has been completed. During its opening weekend, the Skyline Rail had more than 40,000 riders, about 1,500 people per service hour. In the first 5 days, when the ride was free, almost 72,000 passengers hopped on. By 2024, the line had an annual ridership of 1.1 million, or about 3,300 riders per weekday by early 2025. October 2024 saw more than 109,000 riders, with an average of 3,400 daily, and the trains were on time 99.5% of the time. The stations along the route come with new features like fare gates and ticket vending machines that have multiple language options. Passengers can load fares onto holo cards, which also let you transfer to a bus service with unlimited free transfers within 2.5 hours of boarding. The base cost of a holo card, without any fare loaded, is $2. Throughout construction, different train technologies were considered, like rubber tires, maglev, cable-hauled systems, and monorails. In the end, Honolulu's system is a lot like other light rapid transit systems, similar to New Taipei's Circular Line. This system is the first in the U.S. to have platform gates combined with driverless trains. There are 80 cars in total, split into 24-car trains, each with 36 seats and a total capacity of 195 people. So, how has this project actually impacted the region? Stick around to find out in the next part of the video, but before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the latest updates from our channel.
An important goal for us is to use transit as a way that we can shape our urban fabric.
With the first phase now up and running, Hawaii has seen major improvements in public transit, less traffic, and a real boost to the economy thanks to transit-oriented development, TOD. The use of public transit started to climb, and it's expected to keep growing as the rail system expands. Once fully up and running, around 19.3% of lower-income workers and 10.8% of higher-income workers are predicted to hop on the train Overall, the full rail system should boost the number of workers using public transportation from 13.2% to 15.0%, a solid 1.8 percentage point increase or a 14% rise. But it's not just about more people taking the train. The Skyline system is also expected to have a positive, if modest, effect on jobs. The employment rate could go from 66.4% to 66.8%, with both lower and higher income workers seeing similar benefits. While it might sound like a small change, only about 0.3 to 0.4 percentage points, or roughly 1 in every 333 people, it actually adds up to a big deal for the economy. This kind of growth, no matter how small it seems, can mean more opportunities for the community and a better quality of life for everyone. These small percentage changes don't really show the full picture of how the Skyline is making a difference. For example, just the small boost in employment could bring in about $250 million in new income every year for the island. Plus, easier access to downtown jobs is likely to drive up property values near Skyline stations. While that's great for homeowners, as it means more equity, it could also lead to higher rents, making life a little harder for renters in those areas. It's a bit of a double-edged sword. Good for some, but a challenge for others. One awesome thing the rail project brings to Hawaii is its positive impact on the environment. Honolulu's air has been some of the cleanest in the country for years, but with more visitors arriving, there's a risk of increased pollution from car fumes and traffic jams. Plus, volcanic emissions from Kilauea can cause volcanic haze, making the air quality worse in Honolulu and other parts of the islands. But now, with the Skyline Rail up and running, Honolulu offers a green transportation option, cutting down about 40,000 car trips people make each day. Fewer cars on the road means less traffic and less fuel burned, which cuts down on pollution in the air. Plus, the new rail line is going to inspire urban planners to design more transit-friendly spaces nearby, which will help protect the island's beautiful and delicate environment. It's a win for cleaner air, less congestion, and a healthier Hawaii overall. With all these advantages, Hawaii is ready to move forward with the next phase of the project later this year, with Phase 3 expected to kick off by the end of the year. Big things are on the horizon. Even though the Skyline Rail project brought a lot of benefits, it didn't come without its challenges. The first major hurdle was the cost. Initially estimated at $4 billion, the project quickly faced cost overruns, delays, and inflation. As a result, the price tag skyrocketed to $10 billion, and some reports even suggest it could reach $12 billion. Things got even more complicated when Hitachi Rail Honolulu joint venture HRH, a joint venture between two Hitachi subsidiaries, decided to sue the Honolulu Authority for Rapid Transportation, HART, and the city of Honolulu. HRH, which had been working on the project, is now seeking at least $324 million in damages. According to HRH, they had to cover millions in unexpected costs because of HART's mismanagement of the project timeline. In their complaint, HRH stated, "HART's mismanagement of the Skyline Rail project has led to countless delays and mistakes, which resulted in significantly higher costs for us while working on the project." To make matters worse, Hitachi claims that HART allowed contractors to install track that didn't match the specifications for the passenger vehicle wheels HRH had been given. The issue ended up being something HRH had to resolve on their own, at a cost of more than $92 million. That's a big hit, especially given the already tight budget. So, how are citizens reacting to this project? And what about you? Do you think it's making a real impact? Drop a 1 if you're on board, or a 0 if you see it differently. Let us know your thoughts. The reactions to the Skyline Rail project have been all over the place, with some people feeling pretty positive and others not so much. On the more negative side, some folks are disappointed. One writer mentioned that when they hopped on, the train was nearly empty, and they felt it was a waste of money. They also weren't happy about the rail stopping at Ala Moana Center, saying it should have gone further to places like Waikiki and the university to actually be useful. On the flip side, there are people who see the potential. They believe the rail needs to be extended to really bring in riders and boost the value of the land along the route. They're not shy about calling out developers for slowing things down, either. Some even pointed out that adding more TOD around the stations could make a big difference, since some of them are surrounded by nothing but roads and parking lots right now. Then there's the optimistic crowd, who think it's a great project overall, even though it's still a work in progress. With strong support from both residents and the government, the project is on track to make a real difference and bring long-term benefits to the island. Exciting times are ahead. And that's a wrap.
Public transportation is essential to the vitality of the city of Chicago.
Chicago is no stranger to big ideas and bold infrastructure projects. From the Chicago River's reversal to the Willis Towers construction, the city has a history of tackling ambitious endeavors. The latest in this lineage is the Red Line extension, a $5.7 billion plan to expand one of the city's key transit arteries further south. However, with its massive price tag and lingering questions about execution, is it a transformative investment or a costly gamble? Let's break down in today's episode. The Red Line is one of the busiest lines in Chicago's L system, operated by the Chicago Transit Authority (CTA). Running north-south, it stretches from Howard Street on the city's northern edge to 95th Street, Dan Ryan on the south side, serving as a lifeline for commuters, students, and workers. But for decades, residents south of 95th Street have felt left out. The Red Line extension, RLE, aims to fix that by extending the line 5.6 miles from its current terminus to 130 Street near Altgeld Gardens, a public housing community. This isn't a small tweak. The extension includes 4 new stations, 103rd Street, 111th Street, and Michigan Avenue elevated, and 130th Street at grade. The average population density within 1/2 mile of each station is nearly 6,800 people per square mile. Each station will include bus, bike, pedestrian, and park and ride facilities connections. The plan also includes 1,200 parking spaces, new traction power substations, a rail yard, a maintenance facility near 120th Street, and 78 new rail cars. Trains will run 24/7, with trains every 3 to 6 minutes during weekday peak periods, every 7 to 8 minutes during weekday off-peak periods, every 8 to 15 minutes during weekday evenings, and every 7 to 15 minutes on weekends. Daily ridership is projected at 36,400 initially, increasing to 41,500 by 2040. As the largest single transit investment in CTA history, RLE is a long-awaited initiative aimed at improving transit equity and economic opportunity in Chicago's far south side. The Red Line extension will enhance connectivity for historically underserved neighborhoods such as Roseland, West Pullman, and Washington Heights, providing better access to jobs, schools, healthcare, and commerce. With 24% of corridor residents living below the poverty line and 25% facing commutes over an hour, the project will be a game changer for the nearly 100,000 residents in the area who currently rely on buses or long commutes to reach the existing Red Line. In addition, the RLE will directly serve key destinations, including the Roseland Medical District, Pullman National Monument, Chicago State University, and Altgeld Gardens. The new 111th Street station in particular will act as a transit anchor for the Roseland Medical District, supporting local healthcare services and economic growth. The project is expected to cut commutes by up to 30 minutes each way, giving residents more time in their daily lives.
I had no idea about the CTA Red Line extension until this program, and I actually think it's pretty cool. That gives me more access to the city and also opens up more job opportunities.
Beyond transit improvements, the RLE will be a catalyst for economic growth. CTA estimates the project will generate over 25,000 jobs in Cook County and drive $1.7 billion in real estate activity by 2040. Transit-oriented development will revitalize 95th Street with new businesses and housing. A whopping $5.7 billion. That breaks down to roughly $642 million per mile, making it one of the most expensive transit projects in recent U.S. history on a per-mile basis. For comparison, other cities have built similar extensions for a fraction of the cost. Let's put that $642 million per mile into perspective. Montreal recently completed a 10.3-mile metro expansion for $140 million per mile. Madrid, a global leader in cost-effective transit, has built subway lines for as little as $50 million per mile. So why is the RLE so costly? Part of it comes down to scope. This isn't just a simple track extension. The project includes elevated structures, new stations with modern amenities, think accessibility features and bike parking, and that massive rail yard. Land acquisition is another factor. Buying up property in a dense, urban area isn't cheap, especially when you factor in legal fees and community negotiations. Labor costs in the U.S. are also higher than in many countries, thanks to union wages and stricter regulations. Then there's the American premium. The U.S. has a well-documented habit of overpaying for infrastructure compared to peer nations. Bureaucracy, environmental reviews, and a fragmented planning process often inflate costs. Posts on X have highlighted the disparity, with users pointing out that Chicago seems to be spending more to get less. Some argue the money could fund multiple smaller projects, like bus rapid transit or station upgrades, across the city instead of betting it all on one line. Recently, on Reddit forums sparked a lively discussion about this project, with users offering a mix of skepticism, frustration, and cautious optimism. One standout comment criticized the project's ballooning costs, pointing out that $5.7 billion for 5.6 miles is insane. Over $1 billion per mile when other cities build whole systems for less, reflecting a common sentiment about inefficiency and overpayment in U.S. infrastructure. Another user sarcastically remarked, "Can't wait for the ribbon cutting in 2045 after another $2 billion in unforeseen expenses," capturing the cynicism about delays and budget overruns, a nod to Chicago's rocky construction history. On a more hopeful note, a commenter highlighted the potential benefits, saying, "If it connects the far south side like they promise, it could be a game changer for jobs and access. Big if, though, showing support tempered by doubt about execution." Meanwhile, a practical jab came from someone noting, "They'll spend too much on consultants before a single track is laid." Classic CTA move, echoing distrust in the planning process. Do you think this project will be a game changer? Drop a 1 if you agree and 0 if you don't.
City leaders today signed an agreement securing nearly $2 billion in federal funding for the CTA Red Line extension.
The CTA is pushing forward with the RLE project, but faces significant financial and logistical challenges. A key source of funding, the $1.9 billion Federal Transit Administration grant secured in December 2024, remains intact despite a broader freeze on federal funds under the Trump administration. According to the CTA Chief Financial Officer, the agency continues to rely on existing grants and has yet to experience major funding disruptions, though officials remain cautious. However, the project still requires an additional $3.8 billion from state, local, and potential federal sources. Financially, the agency is under strain, depending on federal support while facing projected budget gaps of $600 million in 2026 and $640 million in 2027. It has a temporary cushion of $578 million in remaining COVID-19 relief funds for 2025, but without additional revenue sources, service reductions could become necessary. While the FTA grant provides crucial momentum, ongoing uncertainties surrounding federal funding and long-term financial stability cast doubt on the project's future. If the necessary funding is secured, construction could begin in 2026 and finish by 2030, though large transit projects frequently encounter delays. Beyond financing, the CTA must navigate community concerns over noise and disruption while ensuring compliance with environmental reviews that may reveal contamination in industrial areas. For years, South Side residents have seen promises of the extension in headlines, yet no construction has materialized, leaving many skeptical about whether this long-awaited project will finally become a reality. Thanks for tuning in today, everyone. Subscribe, and we will see you next time. New York's subway system is legendary, carrying millions and shaping the city's rise as a global powerhouse. Yet one line has long been known as New York's ghost project for nearly 100 years, the Second Avenue subway. After countless delays and broken promises, construction is finally back on track.
Phase 2 of the Second Avenue subway are no longer going to be talked about on a drawing board.
This project will finally be offering hope of relief for overcrowded trains that frustrate commuters every day. In today's Great Trainspeed, we'll uncover how this long-awaited project is taking shape and what it means for New York's future.
Second Avenue subway is an incredible, important investment.
The Second Avenue subway expansion is widely regarded as one of the most ambitious transportation projects New York City has ever undertaken, and the reasons are clear. For decades, the east side of Manhattan has faced severe overcrowding, particularly on the Lexington Avenue line. This single corridor carries more passengers each day than the entire subway networks of cities like Boston or San Francisco, emphasizing just how critical relief has been. The concept of building a parallel route under Second Avenue dates back nearly a century, but political gridlock, financial instability, and engineering hurdles kept the idea stalled for generations. When construction finally advanced, the price tag reflected the difficulty: $4.45 billion for just 2 miles of tunnel and 3 stations. Starting with that investment began to pay off in January 2017, when Phase 1 opened between 63rd Street and 96th Street. Though only 3 new stations appeared on the map, the impact was immediate. More than 200,000 riders now use the line daily, easing the load on Lexington Avenue trains and giving long overdue subway access to neighborhoods like Yorkville. Commuters on the Far East Side gained shorter travel times by as much as 10 minutes, while connections to Brooklyn, Queens, and the west side of Manhattan became significantly more efficient. But the story doesn't end here. The project is moving forward into its second phase. So how is it shaping up now? In the next part, we'll dive deeper into the progress. And if this has caught your interest, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss more train stories and updates right here on Great Trainspeed.
So I think this, for the people of East Harlem, the time of promises is over.
Attention has now turned to Phase 2 of the Second Avenue subway, considered as a critical extension that will finally bring service north into East Harlem, one of Manhattan's most transit-dependent neighborhoods. Estimated at $7.7 billion, this phase will extend the Q line to 125th Street and introduce 3 fully ADA-accessible stations at 106th Street, 116th Street, and 125th Street at Lexington Avenue. The northern terminal will connect with the 4, 5, 6 lines, Metro North, and the M60 Select bus service to LaGuardia Airport, offering far more flexibility for commuters heading to the Bronx, the suburbs, and the airport. Beyond convenience, the engineering effort itself is significant. The new tunnel will be excavated 35 to 120 feet below 2nd Avenue using massive 750-ton tunnel boring machines equipped with 22-foot diamond-studded drill heads. Early construction work is set to begin later this year, with major civil work launching in 2026 and full-scale tunneling starting in 2027. To accommodate new entrances and ancillary facilities, the MTA has begun the process of acquiring properties, a step currently undergoing public review and hearings. When complete, the benefits will be far-reaching. Daily ridership across Phases 1 and 2 combined is projected to reach 300,000. East Harlem residents, many of whom currently rely on buses or lengthy walks to reach the subway, will gain direct access to the system, saving some passengers as much as 20 minutes per trip. The project will also provide a one-seat ride from East Harlem to the Upper East Side, West Midtown, and all the way to Coney Island, while relieving crowding on the Lexington Avenue line and easing congestion at 96th Street and on local bus routes. Looking further ahead, future phases envision the line continuing south toward Lower Manhattan, linking underserved neighborhoods and major job centers into the city's broader transit network. Together, these efforts mark one of the most transformative undertakings in New York's modern transit history.
We're about to approve a $2 billion contract.
As part of efforts to accelerate the long-awaited 2nd Avenue subway expansion, the MTA took a major step on August 19, 2025, by awarding the tunnel boring contract for Phase 2. Valued at $2 billion, the contract went to Connect Plus Partners, a joint venture between Halmar International and FCC Construction, and marks the second of 4 major contracts needed for the Q Line extension. According to the MTA, the project stands out nationally, projected to deliver the lowest cost per rider of any active heavy rail project in the United States. Government leaders highlighted the significance of the milestone. Governor Kathy Hochul emphasized that it's been a century since the people of East Harlem were promised the new subway they deserve, and we are finally getting it done, highlighting how the line will serve over 100,000 daily riders and bring long-promised access to one of the city's most transit-reliant neighborhoods. MTA Chair and CEO Janno Lieber called it a meaningful step forward, not only for the project, but for everyone in East Harlem and Central Harlem, noting it is the largest tunneling contract in agency history and the most cost-effective heavy rail project in the nation. We've talked about the bright side, but what about the obstacles on the horizon? How tough are they, and what's being done to overcome them? Type 1. If you think this revolution is worth it but needs fixing, and 0 if you're not convinced.
And they laugh because I actually knew what a boring contract was.
Of course, the 2nd Avenue subway project is not without its challenges. Escalating costs, construction delays, and persistent questions about funding have fueled criticism, with estimates for the remaining phases projected to climb beyond $20 billion. These concerns are not new. Since its earliest proposals, the project has been haunted by financial strain and shifting political priorities. Even today, the scale of investment needed raises difficult questions about how best to allocate public resources in a city with countless competing needs. In that sense, the 2nd Avenue subway mirrors the character of New York itself, a city with delayed, debated, and doubted, yet always moving forward. To deliver Phase 2 more effectively, the MTA has incorporated lessons learned from Phase 1. A major focus is on tackling utility relocation requirements at the outset, reducing the risk of costly surprises later in construction. Additional cost control measures include reusing a tunnel segment constructed in the 1970s between 110th and 120th Streets, securing real estate acquisitions early to avoid delays, and adopting best value contract structures such as A+B design build, which reward efficiency in both time and budget. The agency has also streamlined station design, reducing ancillary space and back-of-house facilities to lower costs without compromising accessibility. Together, these strategies reflect a more disciplined and adaptive approach aimed at ensuring Phase 2 can be delivered better, faster, and more cost-effectively. If successful, they could serve as a model for future phases and even other major transit projects across the United States. Public reaction to Phase 2 of the 2nd Avenue subway is divided, reflecting both optimism and deep frustration. On one hand, critics see the project as a textbook case of New York overpromising and overspending. Complaints point to a likely 5-year delay, costs ballooning to nearly double the original estimates, and the staggering $2 billion price tag for just 3 stations. Some dismiss the extension as unnecessary or even harmful, worrying it will encourage crime, homelessness, or fare evasion. Others argue that the billions would be better spent modernizing signals, upgrading turnstiles, or investing in more practical improvements. Yet, not all voices are negative. Supporters highlight the urgent need for more public transit in a city where overcrowding is the norm. For them, even 3 new stations in East Harlem represent long-awaited progress. Some call the project big, exciting, and about time, emphasizing the importance of expanding subway access to underserved neighborhoods. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time. Amtrak Pacific Surfliner has always been more than just a train. It's California's rolling postcard, carrying riders along breathtaking coastal views while linking vibrant cities. Now, it's shifting into a new era. With more trips and better connections on the horizon, the journey is about to get even better. What's driving this expansion? Let's find out in today's episode of Great Trainspeed. As of June 2025, Amtrak's Pacific Surfliner remains California's beloved coastal train, stretching 351 miles from sunny San Diego to San Luis Obispo with 29 station stops and views worthy of a postcard. Operated by Amtrak, managed locally by Lawson, and funded by the state of California, it's the busiest state-supported Amtrak route in the nation, carrying 1.98 million riders in fiscal year 2024, and ranks third overall behind the Northeast Corridor giants. On board, passengers enjoy free Wi-Fi, a market cafe, business class seating, and bike storage, though checked baggage is currently paused. Metrolink and Coaster monthly pass holders can also take advantage of the Rail-to-Rail program on most Surfliner trains within their station pairs. Just keep an eye out for holiday blackouts like Labor Day weekend. Whether you're commuting, exploring Santa Barbara's wine country, or simply chasing ocean views, the Pacific Surfliner remains one of the most scenic and reliable ways to travel the California coast. With its current facilities, the Amtrak Pacific Surfliner has continued to grow in both ridership and revenue. Comparing June 2025 to the same month in 2024, the route saw gains across most metrics. Operating revenue rose from $86.5 million to $91.4 million, and gross ticket revenue increased from $44.8 million to $46.4 million. Ridership also climbed from over 1.3 million trips in 2024 to 1.4 million in 2025, reflecting strong and growing demand. However, operating expenses also went up from $99.8 million to $103.7 million, highlighting that while the line is attracting more passengers and generating more income, its costs are rising as well. Environmental challenges remain a significant concern. The route's picturesque coastal alignment makes it vulnerable to erosion and landslides, leading to recurring service disruptions. Temporary solutions such as reinforcing walls, installing concrete barriers, and placing large boulders have been put in place, but long-term fixes like moving tracks inland or constructing tunnels are under study. These options could cost billions of dollars and take years, if not decades, to complete. Despite these hurdles, the Pacific Surfliner continues to be one of Southern California's most scenic and convenient travel options. It offers a relaxing, car-free journey that links major cities, charming coastal communities, and top attractions, all while reducing traffic congestion, lowering emissions, and supporting sustainable tourism along the California coast. And to continue delivering that high-quality service, Amtrak has launched a brand new project aimed at enhancing both reliability and passenger experience. This initiative focuses on modernizing equipment, improving on-time performance, and upgrading stations along the route, while also investing in infrastructure improvements to better withstand coastal erosion and climate impacts. By combining comfort upgrades with long-term resilience measures, Amtrak is working to ensure the Pacific Surfliner remains a safe, scenic, and dependable travel option for years to come. So, what's on the horizon for the Pacific Surfliner, and how could these changes redefine its future? Stick around as we break it all down next, and if you're enjoying this ride, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an update right here from Great Trainspeed. On June 12, 2025, a proposal was announced to add a 12th daily round trip between San Diego and Los Angeles on the Amtrak Pacific Surfliner. The Lawson Rail Corridor Agency announced that this expansion will provide travelers with greater flexibility and convenience along Southern California's coastal rail corridor. Expressing his excitement, Lawson Agency Chair and City of Fullerton Mayor Fred Young said, "This service expansion provides more transportation options between San Diego and Los Angeles, just in time for summer travel, It's the next step in restoring Pacific Surfliner service and creating more ways to reach Southern California's most popular events and destinations. The latest Pacific Surfliner schedule, updated June 2025, notes several temporary changes. From August 1st to 16th, train service north of Goleta will be suspended for the La Cañada Honda Bridge replacement project in Santa Barbara County. The 127-year-old bridge is being replaced to improve reliability, efficiency, and allow for future expansion. During this period, buses will connect San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara, with regular train service resuming August 17th. Additionally, Del Mar construction may cause schedule adjustments on Sundays through Tuesdays near San Diego Old Town. Moreover, the San Diego Association of Governments, SANDAG, has outlined an ambitious $1 billion plan for rail improvements over the next 20 years. Key priorities include stabilizing the Del Mar Bluffs, adding more double-track segments, and continuing studies on rerouting or tunneling the coastline to improve long-term safety. So far, SANDAG has double-tracked 75% of the regional segment, completed 4 bluff stabilization projects, and begun studying relocation options. Other upgrades already in progress include bridge and track replacements, new platforms, pedestrian undercrossing, and various safety and operational enhancements. One of the most significant proposals, the Lawson Rail Realignment Project, would move the tracks inland, possibly through tunnels, and could pave the way for future electrification. However, such ambitious plans face potential hurdles, including high costs and community concerns. In the near term, service concepts focus on making the most of existing infrastructure by restoring schedules reduced during the pandemic, improving operational efficiency, and ensuring consistent frequencies with better connections along the corridor. As infrastructure projects advance in the midterm, schedules would be refined to evenly distribute service, add potential new trips, and close service gaps between phases, aiming for hourly service in the northern Lawson corridor and half-hourly in the southern corridor where capacity allows. Looking to the long term, 2027 and beyond, service would align with the California State Rail Plan, targeting trains every 30 minutes north of Los Angeles and every 15 minutes south, potentially offering 17 to 18 Pacific Surfliner trips in each direction between Los Angeles and San Diego, expanded commuter rail, and increased service to support the 2028 Summer Olympic Games. Could these service expansions and infrastructure upgrades be the key to an even better Pacific Surfliner experience? Type 1 if you agree, or 0 if you see it differently. Amtrak's push to maintain and enhance service is already paying off, starting with the surging ridership of the Pacific Surfliner. But the success story doesn't stop in California. Over on the East Coast, Amtrak Virginia has smashed records of its own, closing fiscal year 2025 with more than 1.4 million passengers, a 4.8% jump from last year and the highest total since the service launched in 2009. Every corridor saw growth, with Roanoke leading the charge at 6.9%. The Norfolk line held its title as the busiest, carrying over 542,000 riders. June 2025 was a standout month, shattering records with more than 126,000 passengers, the most for any June in the service's history, with all 4 corridors posting double-digit growth. And Amtrak isn't hitting the brakes anytime soon. Amtrak experienced a notable surge in ridership this June, welcoming an additional 222,000 passengers compared to the previous month. This boost has propelled total ridership to nearly 600,000, above the planned budget for the year, with revenue also climbing 3% higher than expected. The consistent upward trend in passenger numbers emphasizes the importance of continued investment in modernizing the fleet. Travelers can soon enjoy the enhanced comfort and speed of the upgraded Acela, which will begin service on August 28th. In parallel, Amtrak's future-focused Aero program is moving forward, with the very first new Aero train now on its way to Colorado from Siemens Mobility's factory in Sacramento for testing. These advancements signal a transformative era for the national rail network, promising improved efficiency, comfort, and travel experiences for passengers across the system. With readership climbing, service expanding, and billion-dollar investments on the horizon, the Pacific Surfliner is on track to deliver a faster, safer, and more reliable coastal journey, securing its place as one of America's most scenic and essential rail lines for years to come. That's the end of the line for today. We're glad you came aboard. Stay curious, keep your ticket handy, and join us again for more adventures on Great Trainspeed. Brightline's arrival in Tampa is a win for travelers. Finally, a sleek, modern way to zip across Florida without the stress of airports or endless highway traffic. But if we really want to unlock the full potential of high-speed rail here, there's more work ahead. Faster journeys, more cities, fewer hours. Let's talk about what's missing and how to make it happen in today's episode of Great Trainspeed. Brightline is rapidly transforming how people travel in Florida, offering a high-speed rail link between Orlando and Miami with stops in key cities like Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, Boca Raton, and Aventura. As one of the first major private passenger rail projects in the U.S. In decades, Brightline delivers sleek stations, fast trains, and a stress-free alternative to congested highways and airports. For anyone who's ever been stuck for hours on I-95, the appeal is clear. Passengers can relax in spacious seats, enjoy snacks and drinks, connect to Wi-Fi, and reach their destinations without the hassle of driving or flying. The numbers highlight its growing success. In June 2025, Brightline carried over 254,000 passengers, a 14% jump from the same month last year. Long-distance travel, especially between Orlando and Miami, saw an impressive 18% year-over-year increase, setting a new record at over 164,000 riders. Notably, 56% of these long-distance passengers were repeat customers, a sign that travelers aren't just trying Brightline once they're coming back. Shorter trips between cities like Miami and Fort Lauderdale also rose by 7%. On the financial side, June revenue hit $16.9 million, up 11% from last year, with most growth coming from long-distance ticket sales, which climbed 14%. To handle the demand, Brightline expanded its capacity on June 9th by adding 5 more passenger coaches and restoring its full long-distance schedule. Trains are now running with 6 cars again, reducing crowding and ensuring more seats for passengers. Operational reliability remains strong, with a 92% on-time performance in June, impressive for a busy intercity rail system. Looking ahead, Brightline is preparing for a major western expansion from Orlando to Tampa, part of a larger 320-mile route that will stretch from Miami to Tampa. If completed, this leg could cut the travel time between Orlando and Tampa to about an hour, with trains reaching speeds over 150 miles per hour. The company is seeking $400 million in private activity bonds to fund new tracks, station improvements, and other infrastructure upgrades. Tampa officials have already shown strong support, and surveys of nearly 12,000 people indicate high interest, with downtown Tampa and Ybor City emerging as top choices for the station location. The Florida Development Finance Corporation recently approved a key financing step, bringing the Tampa extension closer to reality. With projections of up to 650,000 monthly riders by 2026, the expansion promises not only faster and more comfortable travel, but also a new standard for passenger rail in the U.S., offering Floridians and visitors alike a reliable, enjoyable alternative to highway congestion. With Brightline's ridership and revenue climbing at a record pace, the big question now is how this momentum will fuel its bold push toward Tampa and pave the way for an even stronger transit system in Florida. Stick around as we dive into the next part to uncover more. And if you're enjoying this, hit that subscribe button so you never miss an update, right here on Great Trainspeed. The Brightline expansion to Tampa is an exciting development, offering a much-needed alternative to the notorious I-4, which is often congested and stressful to drive. For many travelers, the convenience of taking the train between Orlando and Tampa could mirror the seamless, stress-free experience they already enjoy on trips to Fort Lauderdale and Miami. the sleek trains, comfortable seating, and ability to relax or work while traveling make Brightline a compelling choice compared to spending hours in unpredictable traffic. Still, there's a high demand for Lakeland, which many believe would better serve short-distance riders who currently feel left out of the network. Strategically located in the middle of the Orlando-Tampa corridor, Lakeland is more than just a midpoint. It's a vibrant community with a growing population, a thriving university presence, and a steady flow of tourists drawn to its historic downtown and cultural attractions. A Brightline stop here could become an important connection point for commuters heading to jobs in either city, students traveling between campuses, and visitors looking for a convenient base to explore Central Florida. Adding a Brightline station in Lakeland would unlock a unique opportunity for both the rail line and the city. For Brightline, it means tapping into a market that values speed and comfort, but doesn't necessarily require the full Orlando-Tampa trip. For local residents, it would offer a modern alternative to regional travel, enabling same-day flexibility without relying solely on cars or buses. Lakeland's central location strengthens the case even further. It could naturally serve as a transfer point, laying the groundwork for future feeder services or regional transit connections. If the extension becomes reality, the impact would be transformative. Lakeland wouldn't just gain faster access to Orlando and Tampa, it would also connect directly into the wider Brightline network, stretching all the way to Miami. As of mid-2025, Brightline already runs from Miami to Orlando, and is actively advancing its westward expansion toward Tampa along the heavily congested I-4 corridor. For years, local leaders in Polk County and Lakeland have championed the case for a station, recognizing not only the convenience it would bring travelers, but also the economic growth, development, and logistical advantages such a stop could deliver. Lakeland's high-speed rail hopes are not new. The idea was first floated in 2011, but it was quickly shut down due to its hefty $2.4 billion price tag and concerns over potential cost overruns. Despite the rejection, momentum for the project lingered. The Lunds Group later stepped in, preparing schematic plans, renderings, data visualizations, and even offering strategic advice to help the city of Lakeland make its case for a station within city limits. Yet, despite the studies and enthusiasm, the project never advanced, largely due to decisions at the state level. Now, years later, Lakeland once again finds itself revisiting the prospect of becoming a stop on Florida's high-speed rail map. Brightline to Lakeland, will it happen? How do you think it would shape the city? Could it be a true game changer? Drop a 1 if you agree, or a 0 if you see it differently. We'd love to hear your thoughts. However, cost remains a significant barrier for many potential passengers. With fares ranging from $79 for Smart Class to $270 for Premium, frequent travel can be hard to justify for everyday riders. Short-distance travelers in particular feel priced out of the service, which limits Brightline's accessibility to a broader audience. If the company could introduce more affordable fares or targeted discounts for shorter trips, it could attract a whole new group of regular customers. Some riders remain loyal to Amtrak for certain routes, such as a monthly round-trip journey from Jacksonville to Tampa, enjoying the charm and tradition of the service. Yet, many of these travelers are open to trying Brightline if it expands further north. Jacksonville, especially with its new stadium project underway, presents a prime opportunity for a future northern terminus. Imagine stepping off a sleek Brightline train right at the stadium for a big game or event. It would be both convenient and a unique travel experience. Reconnecting downtown Jacksonville to a modern high-speed rail network would not only serve local needs but also enable long-distance trips all the way to Miami, opening up the entire state for seamless rail travel. Connecting all 4 of Florida's major metro areas, Miami, Orlando, Tampa, and Jacksonville, would be a game-changer for the state's economy, tourism, and mobility. It would encourage more sustainable travel, reduce congestion on Florida's busiest highways, and create stronger links between business hubs. Beyond the urban core, there's also untapped potential along the coast. Since Brightline already passes Cocoa Beach, a station there could be a natural fit, catering to cruise passengers departing from nearby Port Canaveral, as well as locals and tourists heading to the beach. The ability to take a train from Tampa to Cocoa for a weekend on the Atlantic coast would add yet another layer of value to Brightline's network. While the Tampa expansion is a major milestone, it should be seen as the foundation rather than the finish line. With strategic station additions, more competitive fares, and a vision for full statewide connectivity, Brightline can transform Florida's transportation landscape. The groundwork is there, the demand is evident, and the possibilities for both the economy and the everyday traveler are enormous. That's where we pull into the station for today. Thanks for riding along.
Yeah, so I don't know about you guys, but it really feels like we have been living in a construction zone for quite a while.
The wait is almost over. Kansas City's Streetcar is about to go farther than ever before. As the extension nears completion, the city is gearing up for a transit upgrade built on convenience, connection, and community pride. Soon, you'll have more ways to ride, more places to go, and more reasons to hop aboard. It's not just about moving people, it's about weaving neighborhoods closer together and giving the city a new pulse of activity. Want the inside track on the vision, the work, and the impact behind it all? Climb aboard right now on Great Trainspeed. Kansas City, situated on the border of Missouri and Kansas, is often celebrated for its rich jazz heritage, smoky barbecue, and thriving art scene. Its famous fountains and the landmark Union Station give the city a mix of cultural history and modern vitality. Union Station itself isn't just a landmark, it's a major rail hub, connecting Amtrak's national network. The city's crossroads location on several interstate highways cements its role in regional mobility. Public transit has seen a major shift in the last decade with the Kansas City Streetcar. First approved by downtown voters in 2012, the project set out to build a 2-mile route funded by a 1% sales tax. The budget was estimated at $102 million. But when service began in May 2016, the project had come in slightly under budget, a rarity in American transit construction. From day one, the streetcar offered something unique: free, frequent service designed to move easily through the city's busiest districts. The initial 2.2-mile line runs along Main Street from the River Market to Union Station, with 10 stops spaced roughly every 2 blocks. By connecting with Amtrak trains, Ride KC buses, including routes to Kansas City International Airport, and even bike share stations, the streetcar became more than just a local circulator. It quickly drove new development along its corridor, reinforcing Kansas City's reputation for downtown revitalization. Operated by the Kansas City Streetcar Authority under the broader Ride KC brand, the system has welcomed over 15 million riders since launch. As of July 2025, ridership trends are impressive for a system of its size. That month alone, more than 160,000 rides were recorded, placing it among the highest used streetcars in the United States. Patterns show heavier demand on weekends, especially around July 19th and 26th, while weekday numbers, like those on July 7th and 17th, remain lower. The service interval of 10 to 15 minutes throughout the day keeps it reliable, and the free fare continues to attract both residents and visitors. Growth hasn't stopped at the original line. The riverfront extension has already reached a major milestone, completing track work and reopening the Grand Boulevard Bridge earlier than scheduled. This 0.7-mile addition begins at 3rd and Grand in the River Market, crosses the bridge, and ends near the center of Berkeley Riverfront. The journey doesn't end here. A fresh project designed to boost quality of life has already been proposed and is moving toward a launch date. Let's find out in the next part. And also, don't forget to subscribe so you stay updated with the latest stories from the rail world on Great Trainspeed.
A tremendous milestone for our city.
The Kansas City Streetcar Main Street Extension Project represents a major step forward in Kansas City's transit network. Adding roughly 3.5 miles to the existing system, the new alignment creates a nearly 6-mile continuous route running north-south along Main Street. With 16 new stops, the extension will connect the original downtown starter line to important destinations including Midtown, Westport, the Art Museum District, the Country Club Plaza, and the University of Missouri-Kansas City, UMKC. Construction began in April 2022, with completion targeted for 2025. Through a partnership involving the City of Kansas City, the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority, and the KC Streetcar Authority. Key upgrades include the introduction of 8 additional streetcar vehicles, enhanced public spaces, and improved pedestrian access. The line has been designed for rider convenience, featuring level boarding platforms, real-time arrival information, and integration with local landmarks. Before opening, however, the extension must pass through an extensive testing program. This begins with clearance runs and system checks, followed by integrated testing across the entire route. Operator training ensures every aspect of service is validated prior to the pre-revenue operations phase, the critical stage where trains run as scheduled but without passengers. Most of the new stops will closely follow the design of the downtown line, but 2 stand out as signature features. The Plaza Transit Center will serve both streetcars and buses with a double-sided platform and bike facilities, while the UMKC stop will form the new southern terminus. Its dual platforms will allow 2 streetcars to turn back north simultaneously, increasing efficiency at the end of the line. The extension also reconfigures the corridor. 22% is dedicated to transit-only lanes, while intersections like Main Street and Linwood Boulevard will be redesigned to remove slip lanes, widen sidewalks, and shorten crosswalks for safer pedestrian access. Additional improvements include 64 new fire hydrants, the planting of 100 trees, nearly 200 upgraded manholes, 80 compliant sidewalks, and a dedicated mobility lane between Pershing Road and 27th Street.
Mark your calendars for October 24th, 2025.
The grand opening is set for the morning of October 24th on 2025, followed immediately by the start of public passenger service. With testing underway and the grand opening just around the corner, are you ready to see how this extension will transform the way Kansas City moves? Drop a 1 if you're excited, or a 0 if you see it differently.
Especially with the fact that we're going to be hosting the World Cup, I think this is going to be really vital.
Beyond infrastructure, the project carries clear benefits for Kansas City. It strengthens economic activity by drawing riders to local businesses and cultural districts, reduces dependence on cars by promoting sustainable transit, and improves daily mobility for students, workers, and residents. Community response has been strongly positive, reflecting broad support for how the extension aligns with the city's urban growth and long-term vision for connected, sustainable mobility.
Gives people opportunity to get off at a stop that's right within 100 feet.
The launch date revealed of the Main Street extension has drawn strong reactions from both Kansas City leaders and everyday residents. Mayor Quinton Lucas praised the milestone, calling it an exciting milestone for Kansas City as we take another significant step toward extending the reach of our world-class streetcar system. For him, the moment is about more than new tracks or streetcars. It represents a vision of a city that continues to grow while staying connected and accessible. Tom Garand, Executive Director of the KC Streetcar Authority, reinforced this vision, describing the expansion as an exciting chapter in Kansas City's transit history. He emphasized that the extension is not just about transportation, but about equity and efficiency, helping to bridge communities and offer residents better, more reliable ways to move across the city. Public reaction has also been energetic. On Reddit, one user captured the scale of the project with surprise. "Oh wow, that's more than doubling the length, yeah?" Comments like this reflect how residents see the extension as transformative, not only because of its size, but because of the new destinations it will unlock and the way it will reshape daily commutes, weekend trips, and even the city's identity. As the grand opening approaches on October 24th, 2025, now is the time to join the celebration, follow the latest updates, and plan your first ride on the expanded line. But this is only the beginning. The extension lays the foundation for even bigger, more ambitious transit projects in the future, setting Kansas City on track to become a model of modern urban mobility. That's a wrap on today's trip. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Kansas City. Let's ride.